Hello everybody, welcome to the Tower Defense Patreon diary, where we look at the Patreon. No, we look at the Tower Defense video. This is the first one behind the paywall, so if you're listening to this, thank you very much for being a patron. Your support is very much appreciated. I literally could not do this without you. So, we're going to talk about the Tower Defense video today. The Tower Defense video was the second video I ever uploaded. It came out April 19th, so 4 months after, 3.5 months after the clicker one. And yeah, it's currently sitting at 800,000 views, 812K, which is absurd to me. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. At one point, this actually had more views than the clicker video. It's since the clicker one always manages to like overtake it, but these two are my heavy hitters. My first two have ended up being my best two, which, you know, it's good and bad. You know, these videos are the only reasons I have fans of really anything. But at the same time, these, you know, I'm going to be fighting forever to try to catch up with this. So yeah, so how did I come up with this idea? The clicker video was the first one I did, and you can watch the video on that one. That one's free on YouTube. But the basic idea was creating something to like defend this genre. And when I came up with the idea, when I was thinking about follow-up videos, I thought, well, I have one niche audience with idle games. Let's do another niche audience with tower defense. I knew that there wasn't there was going to be some overlap, and those would be the people that would subscribe. But I also knew that there was going to be people who just liked the games. And that was kind of like my initial idea when I was first starting. I was like, well, if I want to make videos on whatever I want to make videos of, I need to bring in niche audiences and then make them fans of me. So eventually we can get to the point where I can just upload whatever I want and I'm getting views. And, you know, it's kind of, you know, essentially my goal was like, yeah, I'll just have an entire fan base that are half made of idle game players and half made of tower defense players, and then I can release a video about, I don't know, Skyrim, and have that get views. And, you know, I say that as kind of like a joke, but that was something I did try, and we'll get to that episode later, and it has 12k views. It did better than I admittedly thought it would. But yeah, that was always the idea. It was like, bring in the niche audiences, bring in like the audiences who don't have a lot of people speaking to them, and then see what we could do from there. So I had a tower defense idea for a long time, and I did not pull the trigger on it. And it wasn't until maybe late March, I think it was late March, early April, that I was like, holy crap, like my YouTube is blowing up and I only have one video. Like, it was only 3 months at that point, and people were already leaving comments like, oh man, this guy left one really nice video and then disappeared. He's never coming back. And I was like, no. I want to come back. And I was really close to being, I think I had just submitted my application for monetization. I think it was like March 25th or something. And they said they had to put it on hold because they needed more information. Because essentially I had 3 unlisted videos on this channel, which were my film projects from university. And then it went from one video getting, at that time, was like a couple 100,000 views, and then nothing else. And so they were like, this is shady. We would like to investigate. And I said, fair enough. Let me put out another video to prove to you that I'm legit. And so this was that. April 19th is when this video came out. April 20-something, or I'm sorry, March 20-something was when I got that monetization. And so that's why it's a little rushed. It's a lot shorter than the other one, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think the length is actually fine. But it's definitely, this is a rushed video, and you'll see that in aspects of it. If you go back and watch again, this is not my best effort, and there's a lot of mistakes in this video. The fact that people have, you know, enjoyed it so much, it's very funny, because this was like my first exposure to, like, you know, everyone pointing out every little mistake that you make in the comments of every video, which would become an underlying theme for the rest of my career, it seems. But yeah, you know, I felt like it was good, but it was definitely rushed. It was done in like 2 to 3 weeks. Whereas, you know, keep in mind, the clicker one, if you watch that video, that took me like 6 months. Like, I worked on that one a lot, and suddenly it was like, oh, I have to like finish the script now, voice this over, and get to editing and no life this, because I need something else out right now, because right now there's nothing. My channel is empty. Technically, I'm not doing videos on these, but there was a video in between. It was the podcast I did that came out April 12th. So that was like my idea, was like, let's let people know I'm alive and that I'm coming with something new. I like the podcast. I don't know if I'll ever bring it back. It's really not good for channel analytics, but I do like the podcast idea. I guess this is kind of what the podcast has turned into. Instead of answering comments from YouTube, I'll answer them here. But maybe I'll bring it back in some form later, maybe on a different channel where like I don't have to worry about the analytics or something, because not enough people watch them or listen to it. And you know, if I'm also streaming, that's just too much of me. So I honestly can't tell you when I started writing this video. The research was very light. Almost every single game that I played that was on the screen or that I talked about and broke down individually, everything was a game that I already knew. Whereas the Idle one, I stretched out and I played a lot of games that I had never played before. The only game that I had never played before that was on this list, or was not even on the list, but like featured at any point in the video, was Kingdom Rush. And I only added Kingdom Rush because when I was doing my quote-unquote research that was not long enough, which is why the video could have been a lot better, Kingdom Rush was one that constantly popped up. So I don't know how I didn't play I must have played Kingdom Rush as a kid, and I just don't remember, because I spent, you know, hours and hours playing these games. But Kingdom Rush was not something I was familiar with, and if I knew how popular it was, I would have gone back and done more. And actually, for those of you who may be newer to the channel, I used to have a series called Quick Game, Quick Thoughts, because I was so paranoid about my channel being empty for so long again. I was going to do a 1-week series where I covered a different Flash game or something for once a week until Flash, quote-unquote, died. And Kingdom Rush is the first one of that. All the videos are unlisted, but they're all still on YouTube. There's like 19 in total. You can go to the playlist tab on youtube.com/realityescape, and you can watch them all there. There's a lot of ones. I did the 12 days of quick games, which was like my Christmas/holiday themed thing. It destroyed my analytics again because most people didn't care because it was small individual reviews, and I ended up removing them just to make the channel look a little bit nicer and cleaner. But they're on there, they're unlisted. I still like looking at them every now and then. It was a lot like this. It was unscripted, just my thoughts on the game. And so, yeah. So the writing, I don't remember when I started writing. I want to say I started writing it way before, like March, but honestly, I don't know. The biggest thing, of course, is is me saying cameo balloons instead of camo balloons. The story behind that was I'm an idiot. I used to make that mistake a lot as a kid, cameo versus camo, camouflage. I don't know why I used to get that mixed up a lot as a kid, but I did. And so when I was writing this, I was rushing this. This is, I bought a cameo, which is like that little thing where you get celebrities to shout you out. I had bought 2 for my girlfriend, and it had been like a month and a half, and I was still telling people about it because I thought it was like the coolest thing ever that I had like these people from this show shout out my girlfriend. And I had been telling so many people about it that it was just in my head, the word cameo over camo. And it was like my brain just shut off. I don't know how I missed it. I missed it in voiceover. I missed it in editing. I got roasted for that, dude. I was close to taking the video down, but the video did so good when it first went up. Like, I'm going to check the analytics right now. In the first 7 days, it had 180,000 views. So it had like 1/4 of the views that it has now, it had in the first week. After the first day alone, it only had 4,000, second day 9,000, third day 22,000, fifth day 89,000, and then it just started to blow up from there, right? In 200 days, it had over 450,000 views. So at that point, it was too late. I didn't want to lose the views, and I didn't want to like confuse people. And I was like, man, I want to do this so bad. I wanted to just redo it. I was so embarrassed, but that's part of the game, you know. You learn and you grow. I don't think anyone was like irrationally mad at me for it, And a little hint to all you YouTubers out there who are trying to grow like I am, if you make a small subtle mistake like accidentally putting the words tower defense on the bottom of the screen instead of Kingdom Rush, people will comment and let you know. And suddenly your comments are going to blow up because everyone's going to be commenting to tell you how wrong you are. So that's a good way for reaction. I was lucky that people didn't like dislike bomb me for saying cameo over camo. And it's funny because I feel like maybe everyone who didn't comment on it maybe just didn't realize. I'm sure most of them did and just, you know, realized I was being beaten to death over it. But the two top comments are me talking about cameo balloons. God damn it, dude. It's so awful. The other big thing about this video was that I didn't talk about Bloons Tower Defense 6, and it was pretty new at this point. I don't know how new it was. I could probably look this up instead of being lazy. Oh no, it came out December 2018 for PC, for Windows. So it was like 4 or 5 months old at this point. I just hadn't played it. I didn't have the money. I didn't have... Well, I was jobless. I had, you know, recently quit my job. And I was so familiar with 5. I was still playing 5, so I was like, 5 just makes sense to me. I'm just going to do the video on 5. I'm just going to talk about 5. I should have acknowledged 6. I didn't. I had people were like passionate. People were like, you straight up like disrespected Bloons Tower Defense 6. And I was like, you know, so new that I took everything so personally. I was like, man, these comments are so cruel. And we'll talk about that in the next video, because the next video was entirely about Bloons Tower Defense 6. But yeah, this was like the first, you know, like I just didn't include it, and I should have said something, and that's my bad. I really should have said, you know, the minimal there. But that's okay. You know, once again, you live and you learn. It's unfortunate that my learning experiences have been seen by 800,000 people, but that's sometimes how it goes. But yeah, there's no sections or anything cut out of this one. There was nothing really big or major here. Actually, you know what? I said earlier that I didn't play any new games. That's not true. I never played Plants vs. Zombies. Plants vs. Zombies, specifically, I played for the first time for this video. Which was really cool because I had a lot of people who commented stuff like, oh man, when that Plants vs. Zombies music hit, I had like a wave of nostalgia. I didn't have that nostalgia because I never played the games. I was just banking that someone would recognize the main theme music and hope that they would. So the fact that they did is actually really, really cool. And yeah, you know, editing wise, I think it's okay. I think my not a graphic artist representation, the thumbnail's really rough on this one. This is before I hired a thumbnail artist who did a lot of my old pixel stuff. So I had to create a tower on my own. The mouse, I had like blown up my own mouse and I traced it. This one, I just, yeah, I probably should fix it, but it's not the one in the video. But yeah, at this point, the I'm clearly not a graphic artist thing was about to become like a regular thing in my videos. I was like, this is just a funny joke, we're gonna keep it up. And then I felt like I was like stealing from like other YouTubers who also purposely did bad drawings and stuff, and I was like, whatever. But yeah, you know, editing wise, I actually feel like it's not too bad, you know, besides a couple of small mistakes here and there. I think it's pretty solid. I didn't disable resample, so kids, if you're out there, disable resample. Most of my processing time on this video was done doing these insanely long time lapses where I would like re-render something 15 times just to make it go fast enough, because I was using Sony Vegas 13 and you could only go so fast. Now I'm on 17, you can make things go a lot faster on the first go, just a lot nicer. Thank you. Love time lapses. If you watch the Clicker Patreon diary, then you know that I love any sort of time lapse. This is like the perfect video for it. And yeah, you know, not much to say on the editing thing. Overall, like, because I'm watching these right before I do this thing, I'm actually pretty surprised at how decent the editing is. I expected it to be a lot worse. I'm actually fairly happy with how the editing looks on this video. You know, I'm not saying it's my best. I think my best is yet to come in terms of just how... in terms of how this loads, I think it's smooth. I think it looks fine. The borders on either side of the video are like black and white. This is before I started doing like a fade for these, or now sometimes what I'll do is I'll just leave it completely black, or I will I'll like make it bigger and like blurry behind, kind of like when people upload Vines or TikToks to YouTube, they do that kind of effect. I was so into the branding at this point, I was like, I have to brand everything, so even the background has to be black and white. Wasn't the best decision, but you know, that's kind of the charm of looking at it now, is looking at what it used to look like and looking at my very questionable decisions. Music, for idle ones, there wasn't a lot of game music to use, and this one I used a lot of game music that was from games, and I was pretty nervous about it. I used Bloons music and Plants vs. Zombies, and I was fully prepared to have them taken down or to have them copyright claimed. I wasn't monetized at this point, but this video was coming out with the goal of helping me get monetized, which wouldn't happen until the summer, so I wouldn't do that again, I don't think. Maybe I would, I don't know. If I had to remake this video, I feel like I would probably try to find copyright-free music that was similar, but I don't think I would use the actual soundtrack again. I think this is the last time No, Snowboard Kids, I used the soundtrack again. You know, with video game OSTs, it's always a shot in the dark. I'm still shocked my Skyrim one didn't get claimed, because I straight up had a lot of Skyrim stuff, music in that one too. So I guess so that one and Snowboard Kids. For Sea of Solitude and Murdered Soul Suspect, I used completely copyright-free stuff. So the aftermath, I mean, I wasn't expecting my follow-up to do just as good as my original. I think when you have your first video blow up like this, and then you have your second video also blow up, I think it sets you up for, you know, it's nice. It was a nice confidence boost. I knew it wasn't gonna last like that. Like, I was still waiting for, like, that next video to, like, absolutely tank. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. You know, I get roasted a lot for Cameo. That's fine. I got roasted a lot for Aminals too, because I said Aminals in the first clicker one, because it was meant to be like a funny little thing, and then I didn't take it out for some reason when I decided not to be a comedy YouTuber. So it's just me saying Aminals in there. I wish I could say that Cameo was intentional. I wish I could say that it was something that I did for comedic effect. It's not. I made a mistake. Mistakes happen in life, and you learn, you grow, and now I Google search my words a lot. There's not a whole lot of things that you can do, and I know that if you're watching these, it may just sound like me being like, yeah, I hate my own videos, but, you know, I think it just shows how much I've grown as a YouTuber. Like, I don't know if I've really grown. I think it shows how I've grown as an editor, at least. Just the quality is so different now from something that I would release. I feel like I'm capable of doing so much better, and I was capable of doing better then too, I think. I just wasn't I don't know if I wasn't putting the effort in. I think my idea was just like, well, let's just get something out. You know, I'm not going to blow up overnight, and then unfortunately I kind of did. So, yeah. Ultimately, it was good. I'm very happy with it. It was cool. A lot of people came in. You know, a lot of people, the biggest criticism for a lot of people is that there was no real thesis at the end. I mean, besides not having Bloons Tower Defense and not having Kingdom Rush and saying Cameo. A lot of people were kind of upset that I didn't have like a real thesis. Like the wrap up in the Idle game video was a good like 5 minutes long. This one's like a minute and a half, and they're right. I did not have like a real thesis. I don't have a question for what makes tower defense games good. I tried to do my best. I tried to say, you know, it's about the freedom, it's about the choice, it's about the strategy, it's about the patience, it's about all this stuff. But I think people were expecting more, so not everyone was happy about the video for sure. But you're never gonna make everyone happy. I think for the most part, a lot of people really enjoyed it. I think they realized what I was trying to do, which was just look at aspects of different games and how much I enjoy them, and analyze that and talk about how much fun they are. And I think that, you know, I think I did that. I think they're okay. I think it's okay. You know, it's never gonna be my favorite video of mine, but looking back and watching it, I was pleasantly surprised. Disappointed as well, because I know how much better it could be if I did it today, but I was surprised at how well I thought it was now. It's easier to watch this one than the clicker one for me. I can't watch the clicker one at all, so this is definitely a lot easier for me to tolerate myself in, and I think it'll get easier the further I go, because I'll be like, you know, I like this is more recent, this is more my style, because a lot of this is very much me figuring out my style, you know. I thought I was going to be doing this genre stuff forever, you know. My goal was to, like I said at the beginning of this video, was to upload something to bring in the niche audiences and then do whatever I wanted, and hopefully just have people who were fans of me for me. But after this video did really well, I was like, I'm gonna be stuck doing genre dissection forever, and a lot of these genres I just don't care about, and I was kind of worried, you know. And we'll talk about in the next one how I tried to like break out of that a little bit and be a little bit more vague, and my adventures with that. That's it for this one. I don't have any comments to answer because this is being recorded way past. Normally we would record these a week ahead, so I apologize there's no question and answer section on this one, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave it on the Patreon post of this one, and I will answer them if I see them. The Patreon notifications, the way they do them, are not ideal. That is all from me. Thank you so much for supporting, and thank you so much for being a patron. That is the story of the Tower Defense, what makes Tower Defense games good video, how it came to fruition. And in the next one, which is already up because I've uploaded these 4 as like a sample, we will talk about the simple games, game design, whatever that one was, because that was also a little bit of a mess, and we'll talk about there when we get there. But thank you so much for your support. As always, it means a lot to me to have someone watching, you know, these. If you're watching this, that means I have at least one person who is supporting me on this tier, and that already is huge to me. And you know, your support is a lot, and if you found me from this video, then thank you, and I hope that you've enjoyed your stay thus far, because we're just getting started. So that's it from me. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Editing Ghost Boy here. I don't know where I'm going to slide this in, but a regret that I also have about this video that I forgot to mention when recording that is I didn't get a lot of at the beginning I talk about Warcraft 3 and how that was my introduction to tower defense. My biggest regret is not getting more of that. A part of it was the rush, a part of it was me just not knowing how to get that footage on my own, and so that is definitely one of my regrets with this video.